So I have some exciting news for 2026. We are planning the first Maria Valtorta Foundation conference here in Ireland, in Mayo, where I live. Maria Valtorta, this mystic that died in 1961 and wrote this epic work, which is called The Gospel as Revealed to Me, or the old title was The Poem of the Man God. This work, over the last 20 years, has taken the Catholic world by storm in many areas as people dive into the science. In the early 1960s, when this work was studied, it was often looked on from the theological point of view. Looking at the interactions that Christ had and how he spoke, and many people saw it as a romantic novel about the life of Christ, forgetting that, yes, there is, in a sense, a romanticized vision in there because it's written by Maria Valtorta, and as a woman she is writing what she sees. But in the midst of all of her writing, she left thousands of details, of facts that suddenly people realized you can verify with science. So when she speaks about positions of the moon, moonlight, stars, constellations, months, dates, etc., etc., all of this can be verified with science. And so this is a fascinating mystic. On the one hand, we have the narration of Christ's ministry over 40 months, and at the other hand, we have all of the science behind it, which many people missed when it was first studied back in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. So today, the purpose of this conference really would be to introduce you into this mystic. From my point of view, this mystic, her writings, are an incredible asset as you advance on your spiritual life. If you look at Saint Teresa of Avila, as she grew in prayer after reading various books that helped her on her journey to contemplation. And you can't love somebody you don't know. And oftentimes we offer a sterile image of Christ and forget that Christ was a living man, that walked, spoke, and ate with his disciples, catechized, taught. He lived in a period of time. The historic Christ is very important. It's important to understand the period of time that he lived in and how he taught and how he catechized. And you see this completely played out in the works of Maria Valtorta. And so you will see during this conference, we will present to you some of the science, some of the most important scientific discoveries in the works of Maria Valtorta, also some of the spiritual aspects of her works, and really to set people off to understand, well, how do we read these works? Who is Maria Valtorta? How do we understand Christ, the customs that he would have had? Because, as I said, you can't separate the historical Christ from the Gospels. Oftentimes, when we read the Gospels, we forget that all of the customs and the rituals that Jews would have practiced, it's kind of a little bit lost to us today. And Maria Valtorta brings all of that to the fore, because once you understand the context of Christ, you begin to understand him and love him even more. That is my thoughts on it. And there's thousands of facts. I'm rereading her for the third time. Thousands of facts in this work that are the church needs. We need to engage ourselves with this incredible truth of knowing God who became man. And from the Jewish point of view, because Christ being a Jew, from the Jewish custom, the Jewish ritualistic, the whole Jewish world, it's a fascinating window into that world. It's a fascinating how Christ catechized and engaged. But in order for people to understand this work, we need to understand that the miracle in this work are the thousands of scientific facts that we can now corroborate. Similar to the Shroud of Turin, for many years people thought, oh, this is just a shroud, and many people believed it was the shroud, but it wasn't until they took a negative photo and then they started digging into the science of the Shroud of Turin that many people have been converted by that relic. Quite fascinating relic. Well, in the same way, you have this mystical writing from Maria Valtorta, and it is the science that's going to convert so many people. Once people realize Christ actually lived, walked this world. He was born in year 1 and died in year 34. His ministry lasted for approximately 40 months. He was 33 years old and 4 months when he died. He died on the 23rd of April, year 34. He had 12 apostles and many disciples. The role of the women disciples in the early church. Fascinating window in there. And I suppose for people to be able to engage with this mystic, we need to kind of educate people on the science behind that, so that in future generations, future theologians and cardinals and so forth can look back on these studies and say, well, look, there is more to this mystic than we thought. Because obviously all of this science was missed in the 1940s, 50s when they were studying the work. They didn't see it. Maria Valtorta begins practically every chapter describing what she's seeing. And I see Jesus walking here. It's night and day. The moon it's a full moon. It's the month of Adar or Nisan or Tevet, or she's describing all of these different details. Christ is dressed like this, and he meets a person that's dressed like this, and they're eating this type of food. I mean, the amount of detail in there is simply incredible. It's mind-bogglingly vast, the amount of data in there. And once you sit back and look at that data, what is heaven trying to do with this work in the church? Trying to engage us with the living Christ that is alive, that died, that rose, that ascended into heaven, and is working in the world today, is alive, and he wants us to know him. And so this conference really is to try and engage people. I mean, any of you who've gone to Medjugorje are well aware of Maria Valtorta, because Father Leon Pereira has been promoting her for years. And if you go onto the Maria Valtorta Foundation YouTube channel, you will find a talk by Father Leon Pereira on Maria Valtorta and on the various passages or moments when Our Lady in Medjugorje asked people to read the poem of the man God, or the works of Maria Valtorta. So this work has been well documented out, and I believe many in Ireland have already read her work. Well, we want to engage more people in this, because this is a gift for the church. In a time of confusion, this is a gift for the church. And you will find a Christ in this work who was never confusing. He was always clear, precise. He didn't leave room open for misinterpretations, especially on the basics of the faith. And this is why the work is so important for our time. Beautiful work. Anyway, I'm going to leave a link below to a WhatsApp group just to collect names and people if you're interested in coming. It will cost us to run this conference, because we'll have to rent a venue and we have to fly in the speakers. And sadly, I'd love to just do it for free and just leave a bucket there for donations, but we will need to sell tickets for this conference in order to fund some of the expenses in organising it, but I'll try to keep it as low as possible. And we will have a lunch there on the day so that people can mix and get to know each other. But I just wanted to offer this. I found the conference initially very encouraging. This is an association that is fully approved by the bishops initially, by the Holy Father, who encourages us to promote the writings of Maria Valtorta. And so the Pope Francis and Pope Pius XII and Pope Paul VI, all of those encouraged the writings of Maria Valtorta. Pope Pius XII asked for them to be published as they were, and people would understand when they read them. But Paul VI bought all of her works for his seminary. And so this is a mystic that has a long history in the church now, and it's time that we leverage this amazing gift for the church. So if you want to come along, let me know. Again, sign up into the WhatsApp group that I've put below, and we'll keep you updated as we prepare for the conference and get the finer details and work out the budget and so forth. But if you want to pencil into your calendar, 16th of May here in Mayo 2026. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.